Kyle Rittenhouse were black. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. This video is brought to you today by P.A.N. Firearms LLC. P.A.N. Firearms for your NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or visit our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there will be a link in the description box below. But let's talk about this. In the aftermath of the Rittenhouse trial and the subsequent verdict, there have been numerous protests for and against, mostly against, but in a twist of irony, a BLM-backed protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which was obviously against, had a father-daughter duo to protect the protesters, armed with AR-15s.
Well, if you could just talk about what you're out here doing tonight.
I'm just providing security for Black Lives Matter movement, leaders of Kenosha. I do this for any group out here that wants to protest peacefully. If they call me up and they're on the level and they want to be peaceful, fine. Okay, I'll come out. I'll protect you. As long as you keep it peaceful, I don't care what you're for or against. Just keep it peaceful and I'll keep you safe as I can.
Sounds like you're about the Second Amendment, protecting the First Amendment.
Yeah, yep. That's what the Second Amendment's for, to protect the First. That's my opinion.
Appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Shoots a 5.56 round, so this is what I'm used to. As a matter of fact, I didn't get this because it's cool. I got it because it's comfortable, because I used an M16, in boot camp. So that's why I got this, because I'm comfortable, I'm used to it. That's all.
Can you tell me about your son and what he wants to do? Well, he wants to be like his dad?
My son here, so when he was little, he said he wanted to be a policeman, but then he was like, but that's dangerous and I don't want to, get hurt and not have to take care of my family. So he goes, but I want to help people. I want to save people. I'm like, and I told him, he's like, well, you can go CIA, you can go FBI, and you can use your big brain. And he's like, do I get, can I track people and help people and stop people with computers? And nobody will know it's me? I was like, yeah, you could do that. He's very shy.
There was somebody walking around with an AR-15 a couple days ago in court, right in front of the courthouse, and it really made everyone nervous and uncomfortable, and it really caused more, I would say, stress and anxiety than not having one. What's your opinion on just the presence of guns being around people?
No justice!
I feel...
Hold on.
Anthony and Jojo!
Okay, go ahead.
All right. In that situation, to me, walking around with a weapon, people shouldn't be afraid. If you can tell people who are responsible gun owners and who aren't, just by the way they handle themselves, by the way they hold themselves and hold that weapon. You can tell who's responsible and trained gun owners. You should never feel uncomfortable around somebody who will make you comfortable by the way they carry themselves. It comes out. I've walked these streets and very few times have people felt uncomfortable when I'm walking down these streets. They ask me questions. They want to know. I give them information on the laws and their rights. No. People shouldn't be feeling uncomfortable. And if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, they won't. It's only the people that have fear and hate. When they see me, that's their problem. If they're uncomfortable with that, they need to check themselves.
What was the outcome of the verdict today, and how do you feel about it?
Well, the jury came back not guilty on all charges, and I respect them. That they did their job. I feel, me personally, the judge had a lot to do with it and that decision. Like I said, I'm a Second Amendment guy. I told my daughter, when I first saw the videos, I was like, self-defense. Everything that I can see from right now when it first came out, oh yeah, that was self-defense. But then I started hearing other real facts, like the fact that he was a minor, not under supervision, after curfew. Okay, those are 2 crimes. Wisconsin state law says you can't claim self-defense if you're in a commission of a crime. Ironically, the judge threw out those very 2 things that he was absolutely guilty of. It pissed me off because there are black people in jail and people of color in jail, and even some white people that are staunch Second Amendment, they're in jail for weapons possession. Possession of a weapon. They're in jail. They have felonies. They can never carry a weapon ever again. But the judge threw that out and let him claim self-defense. So on that, I don't blame the jury. I blame the judge. That's biased. If that was me, I guarantee you those charges would never been dropped. And my self-defense claim wouldn't have been allowed. That's my feeling.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
First off, the scope that the father is using is completely inadequate for the task that he is performing. He should have been using a zero power scope, dot reticle type, EOTech, what have you. If he needed magnification in that situation, then a Trijicon 4 power would be the most I would use in that role. That's another conversation. But let's go to this news article here, titled, Armed Father-Daughter Duo March Alongside Anti-Rittenhouse Protesters to Protect Them. Ironic, but the father-daughter duo armed AR-15s joined the crowd of protesters on Sunday to march outside the Kenosha County Courthouse against the verdict. A father-daughter duo armed with AR-15 joined the crowds of protesters on Sunday to march outside the Kenosha County Courthouse against the Kyle Rittenhouse decision. Dozens of protesters took to the streets in Wisconsin to protest against the decision to acquit Rittenhouse, 18, on all charges. 2 counts of homicide, 1 count of attempted homicide for wounding a 3rd man, and 2 counts of recklessly endangering safety after he killed 2 white men and injured a 3rd last August during BLM Protest, arguing he did so in self-defense. The verdict was delivered at the Kenosha Courthouse on Friday following 4 days of deliberations by the jury, with Rittenhouse seen shake as he fought back tears. In response to the verdict, which has divided the nation, angry demonstrators took to the streets in Kenosha on Sunday outside the county courthouse to express their own fury. Joining the crowds were Eric Jordan, 50, and his daughter Jade, 16, who said they were patrolling the demonstration of around 75 people with weapons to protect the protesters, specifically AR-15s. Speaking to the New York Post, Jordan said, "We just do security for different groups. We're doing a favor for them." He went on to explain that he and his daughter had been invited by those who had organized the march, which saw some people carrying signs which read, "The whole system is guilty and cops and fascists give license to kill in the USA." The 50-year-old said that he had trained his daughter Jade to use firearms from the age of 4, but he had only allowed her to touch a weapon when she reached 14. The pair said that they had been protecting a restaurant and 2 parking lots in the area on the night that the Rittenhouse shootings took place. Please note that they were present in Kenosha on that night, August 25th. And commenting on the incident, Jade said she probably wouldn't have fired my weapon. Interesting. The pair, as you saw from the media information, are Jordan, the father, and Jade, his 16-year-old daughter. As you read, Jade made a statement that I probably wouldn't have fired my weapon. Sorry. That is a ridiculous armchair quarterback statement that I believe she made for the sake of propaganda. How can anyone know how they might react in any given situation? In my opinion, doing that after the fact is cowardly to then question another person's actions without ever having to bear the consequence. Unless Jade, his daughter, can present some special operations training and has actually been put in a potential life or death situation, I believe she should have kept that opinion, because that's what it is, to herself. There are several statements that Jordan, the father, made that are factually incorrect. He was a minor, speaking of Rittenhouse, without supervision after curfew. You can't claim self-defense in the commission of crime, and those are true crimes. I discussed this briefly in another video about this specific subject. Under Wisconsin law, Rittenhouse was not required to have adult supervision to be in possession of the firearm that he was carrying. Also, taking issue with Rittenhouse breaking, the emergency state statute about being, not being out after curfew is, as I pointed out before, it creates a legal conundrum. You can't charge one person with a crime when hundreds were also out breaking the same law. He then tried to make it a racial issue by claiming that if he was in a position claiming self-defense under the same set of circumstances, that his claim of self-defense would be ignored and he would be convicted. I counter that by revisiting the recent trial of Andrew A.J. Coffey, who claimed self-defense in the wounding of a police officer who was part of a SWAT team that was executing a search warrant on a known drug house that Coffey was occupying. Coffey claimed that he didn't know who was entering the house despite several witnesses claiming that they heard the police announcing themselves throughout the engagement. Coffey is a multiple convicted felon who was in possession of a handgun, direct violation of federal law, which means he was in the commission of a crime. So according to Jordan, Coffey could not claim self-defense because he was in the commission of a crime during the encounter, being in possession of that handgun as a convicted felon. Coffey was acquitted of all the murder charges, and I don't have to point out that, Coffey is black. But to bring a further point, Gaige Grosskreutz, the person who was injured that night by Rittenhouse, was carrying a concealed handgun without a valid permit. He was in the commission of a crime. But let's nuts and bolts here. BLM arranged a protest in Kenosha against Rittenhouse, and what transpired that night, that he was a vigilante for being present there and armed. BLM is being protected by two people who were doing the exact same thing that night. So are these two people now vigilantes out looking for trouble? They were just there to kill people. The father states, I will do this for any group that is out there protesting peacefully, with full knowledge that BLM and Antifa have a long-rooted history of violence for political and social gain, which at its core definition is terrorism. The father-daughter duo traveled from Chicago, Illinois to Kenosha, Wisconsin. They transported the AR-15s with them. Remember, certain elements, mostly leftist elements, took great issue with a proven lie that Rittenhouse crossed state lines with a weapon. We know for a fact that the rifle he had in his possession was located in the Kenosha area. Yet they have nothing to say about this father-daughter duo who actually did what they claim Rittenhouse did. They crossed state lines with a firearm. August 25th, 2020, they were present in Kenosha that night, protecting a restaurant and several parking lots. Much like Rittenhouse, we do not know if they were invited to do so. All of this on the same night that Kyle Rittenhouse, shot 3 people. Were these two, once again, or these two people, are they considered vigilantes looking for trouble? Because they were there that night armed also. Rittenhouse was 17 on the night of August 25th, 2020. Jade, this man's daughter, who is 16 now, has every indication that she was 15 on the night of August 25th. Do we now hold her father accountable for transporting his then 15-year-old daughter across state lines with a firearm? Once again, a lie told by the media against Rittenhouse that his mother transported him and the weapon from Illinois to Kenosha, Wisconsin. Yet they're silent on this story. The flagrant hypocrisy, firstly by Black Lives Matter for having armed people in their midst protesting against Rittenhouse because he was acquitted of murder while being armed in Kenosha. Also, the mainstream media went to great lengths to demonize Rittenhouse for being there that night. You remember, they said he had no business being there. Well, Jordan and Jade had no business being there either under the same set of circumstances. But they have nothing to say about this the father-daughter couple doing the exact same thing under the same set of circumstances. The notion that, we heard them say, well, if Kyle Rittenhouse were black that night, if he'd have been out there that night armed the way he was, he'd have been gunned down in the streets. Well, this father-daughter duo was there that night, armed with AR-15s, and they're still around to talk about the story. Once again, the hypocrisy is just too much. Too much. Okay? Too much. But let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, any comments to violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification button so you can get an alert every time a video goes live. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.